let's look at the graph that we have above here or on our screens. We are supposed to solve the questions that normally most of us leave behind, but then from today onwards you will not leave such questions behind. You will deal with such questions. So now the first question is, determine the values of x for which f at x multiplied by g at x is less than 0. So here we are multiplying two graphs so that at the end of the day we get a value that is less than 0. A value that is less than 0 is a value that is negative. So the quickest way of solving this is just to remember that when we say less than 0, this is when two graphs are being multiplied with each other. So the two graphs will be in two different quadrants. One will be positive and at the same time one will be negative. So we are going to indicate on our graph in this particular fashion. We are going to have something of this nature. We divide our graph into different intervals. We go to the x-intercept, we divide our graph into intervals. This is the first interval. I don't want to close the x-intercepts that exist. Then this is the other interval. So I've divided it into intervals wherever I see the x-intercept. So now let's check. When you look at the graph, it is observable that above the x-axis both graphs are just positive, and then below the x-axis they are negative. So we check values that are less than -1 going this side. When the two graphs are multiplied with each other, we can see that one graph is positive whilst the other is negative. And then we move to the right hand side of this interval. Both graphs now, they are negative. So both of them are negative. So the solution, it's on the left hand side of -1. So we will simply say it's when x is less than -1. We proceed. And then dealing with the very same interval, we proceed as and when we are checking. We can see that this side they are in the same interval. So both of them, they are negative here in this quadrant. And then even here they are in the same quadrant. But at this particular point, you can see that one graph, the graph of G is positive, and in the very same breath, the graph of F, it's negative from this point up until this point. So let me extend the interval. So you will just say, or you can see that between x equal to 4 and x equal to 8, the two graphs are in two different quadrants. So what you do, you'll just say x is between 4, you'll just say 4 is less than x, and it's also less than 8. So those are your values of x, wherein the two graphs are in two different quadrants. One is positive and at the same time one is negative. Now let's move on to the second question. They are saying determine the values of x for which f at x multiplied by g at x is greater than 0. This means that it's more like positive multiplied by positive or negative multiplied by negative, which will give us positive. Even this one will give us positive. So we want a situation wherein the two graphs, both of them are either negative or both of them are positive. So if you check in this interval from -1 up until positive 4, when you multiply the two graphs, you will realize that you are going to get a positive value because both graphs are negative. So the value of x will just be between a negative 1, you just say negative 1 less than x is less than 4. That is the first value of x. So the second value is that which we excluded initially in the previous question. We can see that from x equal to positive 8 going this side, both graphs are positive. They lie in the same quadrant. You'll say or x greater than positive 8. That's how we solve this problem. So now let's quickly rush to the last question. Then in dealing with the last question, one needs to be careful